carita mia.
When we're together, darling, every night is Halloween.
Can you believe it? In 1964, the darkest family on American television had the whole country laughing hysterically, simply because they lived life completely backwards. That was the era when Morticia glided across the room like a seductive ghost in her skin-tight black dress. Gomez kissed his wife's hand with such fiery passion, he nearly set the whole house ablaze, and the kids treated torturing each other with ghastly games as their daily source of fun. And can you imagine this? The famously gloomy Addams mansion was actually painted bright pink, just because the show was shot in black and white. Or that Gomez casually stubbed out his cigar in an asbestos-lined pocket for safety. Even the mysterious living hand thing sometimes belonged to none other than Lurch, who stood nearly 6 feet 9 inches / 2.06 meters tall, lying flat on a rolling cart underneath the set and poking his hand out. Meanwhile, the actress playing Morticia had to endure 2 full hours of makeup and torture every single day just to squeeze into that deadly seductive skin-tight dress. What a wonderfully weird Addams Family, creepy but full of love. Right now, let's dive into 10 little-known facts about the Addams Family 1964 that will blow your mind. 10. The Addams Mansion was actually bright pink. Can you believe it? The spookiest, darkest, most haunted-looking house in television history was actually pink, like a dollhouse. The real exterior and interior set at 21 Chester Place in Los Angeles featured walls painted vibrant pink, pastel floral upholstery, pale yellow carpets, and even Lurch's harpsichord painted light green. The whole place looked more like a cheerful suburban home than the eerie lair of America's weirdest family. But because the show was filmed in black and white, the director cleverly transformed everything. The soft pink turned into deep cold gray. The warm yellow became ghostly highlights. The result? Instant gothic atmosphere. Producer David Levy even admitted they deliberately used the black and white format to hide how ridiculous the real colors were. Gomez himself joked in the promotional trailer Pink, "I'd rather live in a coffin. Who would have guessed that this pink versus dark contrast helped create one of the most iconic houses in sitcom history?" 9. Thing's hand belonged to Lurch. In the history of American television, few supporting characters are as delightfully strange as Thing the helpful disembodied living hand. And the secret behind it will make you gasp it wasn't a special effect or a prop. It was the real hand of Ted Cassidy, the actor who played the towering butler Lurch, who stood 6 feet 9 inches / 2.06 meters tall. Because of his enormous height, Cassidy had to lie flat on a wheeled cart, hidden under the floor, sneaking his hand up through boxes, desk slots, or holes to make Thing appear naturally. Most of the time he used his right hand, but sometimes he deliberately used his left hand, just to see if the crew or audience would notice. When Lurch and Thing had to appear together in the same shot, an assistant director would step in as the hand instead. What a wonderfully twisted, behind-the-scenes prank, pure Addams Family humor. 8. Morticia had to endure 2 hours of makeup and a torture dress every day. So, the elegant, mysterious, and deadly seductive Morticia actually required real-life torture every single shooting day. Carolyn Jones had to sit through a full 2 hours of makeup just to become that gothic icon. On top of that, she wore a heavy, long black wig made of real hair. Under the blazing studio lights, it felt like carrying a thick blanket on her head. But the worst part was the dress, a super tight hobble dress that hugged her body from shoulders all the way down to her ankles, making normal walking almost impossible. She had to glide like a ghost or hop like a bunny between takes. Sometimes the crew literally had to carry her around like a gothic statue. Sitting down was a nightmare because the dress was so tight at the knees. The director and costume designer Edith Head even prepared a special tilted board backstage so she could lean back and rest without wrinkling the fabric. All of this was done so Morticia would look like she was floating from the waist down. Carolyn loved the role so much she kept the dress as a souvenir, but she openly admitted, "I never wore it again." What a seductively painful ordeal, perfectly in Addams style. 7. The characters only got their names when the TV show was made. Can you believe it? From 1938 onward, Charles Addams drew this wonderfully weird family for The New Yorker, but none of the characters had real names for decades. They were simply called things like the gaunt husband, with the mysterious smile, the wife with hair like midnight, the gloomy little girl, or the mischievous boy. It wasn't until Hollywood decided to turn the cartoons into a 1964 TV series that naming them became an urgent issue. Charles Addams was brought in to consult, but he didn't have final say. He originally wanted to call the husband Repelli, a pun on repellent, but actor John Astin preferred Gomez because it sounded bolder and warmer. Astin won, and Gomez Addams has been passionately fiery ever since. The son nearly got an even more Addams-style name, Pubert, a dark pun on puberty. But ABC immediately rejected it for being too suggestive. They chose the milder Pugsley instead. Ironically, years later, Charles Addams got sweet revenge in the 1993 movie Addams Family Values. The new baby boy was named Pubert, exactly as he had wanted. As for the sad-faced little girl with the icy stare, Addams admitted he hadn't thought of a name yet. A friend actress and poet, Joan Blake, suggested the nursery rhyme "Wednesday's child is full of woe." Addams loved it instantly, and that's how we got the hauntingly perfect Wednesday Addams. Morticia, by the way, was entirely Addams' own creation, a seductive macabre play on the word mortician. 6. Gomez and Morticia were truly in love at first sight. Remember those sizzling moments when Gomez would passionately kiss Morticia's hand the second she spoke French? His eyes burning with wild desire and making the whole room tremble. Turns out that scorching chemistry wasn't entirely acting. John Astin admitted he felt real attraction to Carolyn Jones from the very first auditions. That genuine spark helped them create one of the most romantic and wildly passionate couples in sitcom history. Right from the start, they agreed that Gomez and Morticia's love had to be the biggest highlight of the show. A grand, fiery, over-the-top romance that stood in complete contrast to the boring, distant couples usually seen on 1960s television. Astin turned Gomez into the ultimate Latin lover, whispering sweet nothings in Spanish, kissing his wife's hand, endlessly and gazing at Morticia with eyes full of burning passion. The funniest part: throughout the entire series, Gomez never once kissed Morticia on the lips. That was partly due to strict TV censorship of the era, and partly a clever artistic choice that made those hand kisses their own unique, elegant, and unforgettable language of love. What a delightfully weird yet insanely romantic couple enough to make viewers laugh and feel jealous at the same time. 5. Uncle Fester had to shave his head to get the role. Do you remember that bald uncle with the creepy grin, deep-set eyes, yet somehow incredibly endearing? In that classic Addams way, Jackie Coogan nearly lost the role of Uncle Fester because his first audition wasn't weird enough. Instead of giving up, he decided to transform himself in the most insane way. He went home, shaved his head, completely bald, created his own costume and makeup according to his vision of a bizarre, eccentric uncle. When he returned in full character, the producers were stunned and immediately gave him the part. Before that, Jackie Coogan had been a legendary child star in Hollywood. He became famous as a young boy with his iconic role in The Kid, 1921, opposite Charlie Chaplin. But as he grew up, he struggled greatly to break free from the image of that cute little boy. The role of Uncle Fester became his chance to completely rebirth himself in a totally opposite appearance. Bald-headed, strange, eccentric, yet carrying an inexplicable charm. 4. The iconic theme song was performed by just one person. Every time the sound of Snap Snap rang out along with that quirky harpsichord melody, and the entire Addams family lined up staring straight at the camera with their odd smiles, 1960s audiences immediately knew a creepy but cozy episode was about to begin. The interesting secret is that this classic theme song was created entirely by one-man composer Vic Mizzy. He composed it in a single afternoon, played the harpsichord himself, sang himself, and used overdubbing to layer his voice 3 times to make it sound like a full choir. The entire cost was only a few $100s. The producers initially wanted to add longer lyrics, but Mizzy firmly insisted on keeping just the 2 snap-snap sounds because he believed they were more ooky and memorable. That bold decision turned the song into a cultural phenomenon. It climbed the charts in Canada and sold over 100,000 albums. Even today, it continues to be covered everywhere, from Broadway stages to the Netflix series Wednesday. Vic Mizzy later joked cheerfully, "Just 2 finger snaps, and I got to live like Gomez Addams," a cheap theme song that left one of the most unforgettable impressions in sitcom history. 3. Gomez Addams' appearance changed dramatically. In many people's memories, Gomez is the dapper gentleman in a neat suit with a well-groomed mustache, always passionately kissing his wife's hand in the fiery style of a Latin lover. However, in Charles Addams' original cartoons published in The New Yorker, Gomez looked completely different. Short, plump, with an upturned nose, crooked teeth, and a protruding chin, more like a clumsy, awkward man than a romantic husband. That was the signature dark cartoon style of Addams, emphasizing absurdity to create laughter. When John Astin took on the role, he boldly reinvented the character. Given significant creative freedom, Astin transformed Gomez into a passionate, intense man who frequently spoke Spanish and looked at his wife with burning eyes. Interestingly, he originally auditioned for the role of the butler Lurch, but the producers quickly realized that Astin was born to play Gomez. Thanks to this change, Gomez was no longer just a comedic supporting character, but became the symbol of weird, captivating love. A makeover so successful that it redefined the character forever. 2. It premiered at the same time as the Munsters. In the fall of 1964, American television suddenly saw 2 weird families debut just days apart. The Addams Family aired on ABC on September 18th, while the Munsters on CBS premiered on September 24th. Almost immediately, audiences and the press pitted the 2 shows against each other as fierce rivals. Both told stories about strange families, but their approaches were completely opposite. The Munsters featured monsters who looked terrifying on the outside, but lived ordinary lives like everyone else. In contrast, the Addams Family looked relatively normal, but their lifestyle, mindset, and behavior were bizarre to the point of being chilling. To protect their own identity, the 2 production teams even avoided sharing guest actors, fearing viewers would get confused. John Astin later explained clearly, We are not monsters. We are complete human beings. We just live life in our own way. Despite the intense competition, both shows became icons, and to this day, many people still argue, are you on Team Addams or Team Munsters? 1. The first TV family to own a computer. While most other sitcom families in the 1960s were still gathered around the dinner table, and a black and white TV, the Addams Family made viewers' eyes widen when they introduced a futuristic device, a giant computer named Wizzo. Gomez and Pugsley enthusiastically used it to calculate the cost of a trip to the moon, predict horse racing results, and even turn it into a political machine when Gomez ran for mayor. A family that loved sleeping in coffins, talking to plants, and keeping a lion as a pet, casually playing with a computer. That's pure dark Addams humor. Wizzo was not entirely fictional. It was inspired by UNIVAC, the world's first commercial electronic computer, famous for accurately predicting the results of the 1952 U.S. presidential election. Placing a mini UNIVAC inside the Addams mansion was both a bold move and a subtle satire on technology and politics of that time. These 10 strange and fascinating facts show that the Addams Family was never just a simple black and white sitcom. It's a creative cultural legacy where the macabre and the warm-hearted blend together perfectly, a show where the behind-the-scenes secrets are sometimes even weirder than the characters on screen. How many of these facts did you already know? Which one surprised you the most, the pink mansion? Morticia's torturously tight dress? Or the fact that the Addamses were the first TV family to own a computer? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you want to hear more dark behind-the-scenes secrets about the Addams Family, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss the next videos. Thanks for watching. See you again at our next creepy little gathering.